Hi, I'm Miles.
I'm Walter.
And we want to talk about some car news this week. So, Walter, have you heard about the new Ferrari 812 Superfast?
I did hear a little bit about it.
Yeah, pretty interesting car just being announced this week by Ferrari. This is a replacement for the F12 that's going to finish production later this year. The 812 Superfast. Superfast, by the way, a little bit of an odd name, I think, but it does actually have some bearing to some of Ferrari's history.
I think they should name it Super Expensive.
Super expensive, super fast, super desirable. There was a car in the 1960s called the Ferrari 500 Superfast, so this is a callback to that. But name aside, this is a front-engine car, V12 engine, rear-wheel drive, Grand Tourer, very much like the F12 that it's replacing. This car is going to have 800 brake horsepower, 0 to 60, 2.9 seconds. It's about 60 horsepower more than the F12, but definitely very impressive stats. I think the styling on this car is pretty nice. I like it. Cool looking car, very muscular. It looks like it's going fast even when it's standing still. I do think there are three types of Ferrari designs out there. There's the very cool aggressive styling. I think this one fits into that category. I think there's the really beautiful flowing lines Ferrari. And then there are some other Ferraris that frankly are not so good looking, and I would say perhaps even ugly. But this one definitely in the first category. I think that the two cars that it reminded me of when I first saw it were the Jaguar F-Type, especially from the front, which is not a bad comparison because I think that's a really awesome looking car. I love that car. And the other car that it did remind me of a little bit was a Corvette. I know that's probably going to make some people worry a little bit about that comparison, and I'm sure Ferrari wouldn't appreciate it, but I mean that in a positive way. I think it has that really aggressive styling that it just looks like a beast. So definitely interested to see it on the street. Also, the interior I think is very interesting. What do you think about that, Walter?
You know, I'm not sure about the interior. You know, it looks like Ferrari really accentuated on the airflow for the cabin with the silver and the red pinstriping around the exhaust. And I was trying to think maybe what they're trying to do with it, and maybe they're trying to replicate like the exhaust of the car. But it seems like that shouldn't be accentuated as much. But I guess I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The vents in the car are definitely emphasized. I'm not sure how I feel about those either, and I'm sure that they are metal. They almost look from the pictures that we've seen like they could be painted plastic, and I'm sure that's not the case because this is a Ferrari we're talking about. They're obviously going to use great materials. The interior, you know, is fine. I don't think it's a bad interior. I'm not a huge fan of the gear selector they have in the center console. A lot of Ferraris have that these days, now that obviously we don't have traditional stick shifts. I'm just not a huge fan of that myself. But I do like the second screen that the Ferraris are now putting in some of their cars that goes in front of the passenger. I think that they can get some readouts from the radio and the stereo and things like that, but they also get a speedometer as well, so the passenger can actually see how fast you're going.
And you said that that's an option, Miles?
I know that was an option on the FF, so I'm not sure if it's standard on this car, but...
If it is an option, that's not an option I would want with my marriage, because I would not want my wife to see how fast I'm going.
Exactly, and if you have any friends that are cops, maybe don't take them for a ride in this car, and then they'll see how fast you're going. But overall, definitely an interesting car, and can't wait to see more of it.
So Miles, you know that we've been getting a lot of rain out here in Los Angeles,
yeah,
right?
We sure have.
Yeah. So I found a video with a Ford GT 2017 going through a river. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I don't think that's actually a river, Walter. I think that's some kind of road test by Ford.
Well, you're right. It is a road test. And I wasn't aware that car companies do this sort of test, but I found it to be really interesting, and I was really surprised by it. So
yeah, I agree. And I've seen some cars going through conditions like that over the weekend, so definitely a good test to put your car through.
Yeah, and then I also found this other video. It looks like one of the first buyers receiving their Ford GT 2017. What do you think of the styling? Talking about styling, you know, we just looked at the Ferrari. What do you think of the styling regarding the Ford?
I love it. You know, I think that the Ford GT is a really impressive car. I like the last one. I think this new one is great. You know, and obviously the Ford GT has a real amazing heritage going back to Le Mans, racing against Ferrari. I think this car looks fantastic. I love the rear of it. I love the three separate pieces that come out. They're not connected at the back. What about you?
Oh, I think it's a fantastic looking car. You know, it's about time that the United States finally got its own supercar.
Yep.
And Ford, I think, did a great job with it. I hope it's a huge, huge success, which I have no doubt it will be.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I can't wait to see some of these. So Walter, what do you think about the Cayman GT4 that came out a couple of years ago?
Oh, I thought it was a great car. Low production, but you know, if you got one, you were one of the lucky few.
Well, that's true, and on that note, it sounds like Porsche might be bringing out a new one, which is great news. There's some rumors out this week of a Cayman GT4 RS. What this sounds like, and we don't know a lot about it yet, but what this sounds like, it's going to be a brand new Cayman 718 with a new 500 horsepower engine in it. A much more stripped down car, much lighter weight than the previous GT4. Really don't know much else beyond that, but if this is true, I think that's going to be fantastic because the GT4 was an unexpected hit for Porsche. I don't think they predicted the success of it at all, and because of that there were very limited numbers and it was very hard to get your hands on one. So great news if they're going to be extending that range.
So, also in the news, Honda is talking about coming out with a new S2000. Did you hear about that, Miles?
No, I didn't. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, for its 70th anniversary, the car is rumored to have over 300 horsepower.
Wow.
And it's also rumored to be about 2,900 pounds. And if they can pull that off where the car is, you know, keeping the weight down to 2,900 pounds and over 300 horsepower, I think you got a great formula there.
Absolutely. I mean, we're both big fans of the S2000. We just did a review of your personal S2000. It's a great car. I know it's been very popular. I know people were sad when it went out of production, so I really look forward to that.
Absolutely.
So Walter, I've got a question for you. What do you get when you cross the luxury of Maybach, the practicality of a G-Wagon, and some Germans with a good sense of humor?
A vehicle that you could use to invade another country in style?
That is true. What you also get is the new Mercedes Maybach G650 Landaulet. This car is bonkers. I don't really understand who it's for. They're only making 99 of them. And basically what it is, it's the normal G-Wagon extended by 22 inches, and that extra length allows them to fit essentially the interior from a Maybach sedan in there. I'm talking fully reclining captain's chairs with massage features, a fridge, televisions, the whole luxury thing. It's like a private jet in there. And the other thing it has is a folding canvas convertible roof over the rear section of the car. That's the Landaulet part in the name, based on original horse-drawn carriages. This car is just crazy. I don't really get it. It's got a twin-turbo V12 engine producing over 600 horsepower. 0 to 60 is, you know what, doesn't really matter because no one's buying this car for 0 to 60. It has incredibly high ground clearance, so you can take it off-road on safari, probably invade a country with it if you wanted to. We'll have to wait and see how it does, but these cars tend to do pretty well. I think G-Wagons nowadays tend to be sold to pop stars, armies, and dictators, so I'm sure it'll do well with those three demographics.
And that's it for the news.
Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you next time. So, Walter, have you heard about the new Ferrari 812 Superfast?
I have, yes.
All right, well, forget it then.